Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every life when the walls fall down, the plans fail, the vision blurs, the relationships fracture, and what once stood firm begins to crumble. But hear this truth: just because something breaks doesn't mean it's over. In fact, it may be the beginning of your becoming. Rebuilding yourself is not a reaction. It is a revelation. You must see that you were never created to remain broken. You were designed to rise. But rising is a process, and rebuilding starts with one crucial question: who am I really, and why am I here? See, you cannot rebuild what you have not first defined, and you cannot define what you have not discovered. That is why your first assignment in rebuilding yourself is to return to your original design. Go back to the blueprint, not what people said you should be, not what culture convinced you to become, but what your Creator intended from the very beginning. Purpose is not something you invent, it is something you uncover. Now listen carefully: just because you are in a mess doesn't mean you are a mistake. Even a house that has collapsed still has valuable land beneath it. The value of a structure is not in its walls, it's in its foundation, and your foundation is purpose. That purpose does not die when your plans fall apart. It doesn't disappear when people walk away. It doesn't diminish when you fail. But here's the challenge: most people try to rebuild externally without renewing themselves internally. You don't fix a broken life by changing your clothes, moving to a new city, or getting a new job. You rebuild from the inside out. Your mind must be reconstructed, your beliefs re-examined, yourself concept repaired. The battle is not outside of you, it's within you. And until your thinking changes, your results will remain the same. Let me give you a principle that changed my life. Isolation is often God's workshop. When people leave, don't chase them. When doors close, don't panic. Silence is not punishment, it's preparation. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will come when no one is watching. When the applause is gone and all you have is your thoughts, your faith, and your future. Friend, don't settle in your brokenness. Don't build your identity on your wounds. Scars are not shameful. They are signs that healing has taken place. They remind you that you didn't die where life tried to bury you. You may be broken, but you are not beyond repair. Rebuilding takes time, it takes truth, it takes discipline, but most of all, it takes vision. Rebuilding is not something that simply happens over time, nor does it occur by random chance. It is a conscious, deliberate act that begins with the awakening of awareness. The recognition that who you are today is not the full expression of who you were created to be. Many people wait for life to improve, hoping that circumstances will shift, people will treat them better, opportunities will fall into their laps. But growth, real growth, does not respond to hope alone. It responds to decisions backed by discipline and fueled by a clear understanding of purpose. Rebuilding yourself requires the boldness to confront your current condition. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. If your emotional life is unstable, if your relationships are broken, if your confidence is fractured, you must start by facing it with honesty. But acknowledgement is not the same as acceptance. You may acknowledge where you are, but you must never accept that as the end of your story. Far too many people become comfortable with dysfunction, familiar with fear, and accustomed to pain, not because they enjoy it, but because they have not seen a better vision of themselves. This is why intentionality is essential. Intentionality means you understand that rebuilding yourself is your responsibility. No one else can do it for you, not your parents, not your pastor, not your partner. You must rise up with a decision to reconstruct your life from the inside out. This decision must be rooted not in desperation, but in revelation, a deep personal understanding that your current situation is not aligned with your original design. You were born with purpose. That purpose is like a seed, placed inside of you by your Creator, not to remain dormant but to be activated. When something is built according to purpose, it operates efficiently and effectively. But when purpose is misunderstood or ignored, everything becomes misaligned. The first step to intentional rebuilding, therefore, is rediscovering your purpose. This means asking foundational questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What was I created to do? Without the answers to these, you can only patch up your life. You cannot truly rebuild it. Once you rediscover purpose, the next act of intentionality is to make choices that support it. Every decision, every habit, every relationship must now be evaluated through the lens of your purpose. You cannot rebuild a palace with broken bricks and expect it to stand. In the same way, you cannot rebuild your life with the same mindset, behaviors, and associations that led to its collapse. It is not enough to be busy. You must be building. And not all building is productive. People are reconstructing a version of themselves that is still disconnected from their purpose, simply because they haven't taken the time to design their lives with clarity and intention. True rebuilding also requires structure. A builder does not begin with furniture or decoration. They begin with a foundation, then walls, then systems. In the same way, when rebuilding yourself, you must re-establish values, routines, disciplines, and standards that support growth and stability. You cannot rise above the systems you build your life upon. If your systems are rooted in procrastination, fear, or dependency on others for validation, your rebuild will be fragile. But when your systems are grounded in wisdom, discipline, vision, and faith, you begin to rise. Not just emotionally or socially, but structurally. Intentional rebuilding is also slow. It is not an overnight process. It is brick by brick, day by day. Some seasons will feel silent. Others will feel like nothing is changing. But rebuilding is rarely visible in its early stages. The most critical work often happens underground, in the heart, in the mind, in the private disciplines that no one else sees. That's where the real structure is formed, and the strength of what's built in public will always be determined by what was poured in private. Destruction is not the end, it's a doorway to reconstruction. When something collapses in your life, whether it's a dream, a relationship, a business, or even your own sense of identity, the natural reaction is to interpret that collapse as final. People often equate destruction with defeat. But in reality, destruction is often the necessary clearing that precedes a more purposeful construction. What many call endings are often transitions disguised as tragedy. You cannot truly rebuild what has not been stripped down to its core. The shaking, the breaking, the loss, all of it, reveals the unstable foundations and the hidden weaknesses that might have gone unnoticed if the structure had remained standing. The process of rebuilding begins with a shift in perspective. If you see destruction as punishment, you will respond with bitterness. If you see it as rejection, you'll respond with withdrawal. But if you see it as preparation, you will respond with reflection and resolve. Sometimes what looks like life falling apart is really life being rearranged. Many people pray for growth, for breakthrough, for a new beginning. But when destruction comes, they run. They don't realize that the very thing they asked for is hidden in the ashes of what had to be removed. A caterpillar must experience the complete destruction of its old form in the cocoon before it emerges with wings. The breaking is part of the becoming. Every storm you go through is either going to bury you or build you, depending on how you interpret it. You must develop the mindset that sees destruction as date. It tells you what was weak, what was misplaced, what was no longer serving your future. Destruction is a revealer. It exposes the faulty beliefs, the temporary supports, the superficial connections. It makes clear what was never strong enough to carry your destiny in the first place. In this way, destruction becomes a divine diagnostic tool. It gives you the opportunity to examine, evaluate, and then elevate your next move. There is a truth that must be understood. Things don't fall apart because you are cursed. They often fall apart because you are being aligned. What you built before may have been good for a season, but not for your purpose. There are structures in your life, mental, emotional, spiritual, that may have been shaped by fear, people, pleasing, survival instincts, or ignorance. If those structures remain unchallenged, they become prisons, not platforms. Destruction tears down those walls and forces you to consider a new way of building, a new way of thinking, a new way of living that is based on truth rather than trauma. Pain is not just a feeling, it is a signal. It tells you that something must change. When your life is disrupted, your comfort disturbed, your identity shaken, you are being pushed to confront the reality that your current model is no longer sustainable. Destruction gives you a window to decide if you will just repair what's familiar or completely reconstruct what is necessary. Many people rush to fix what is broken without asking if it should be rebuilt at all. Some structures must remain fallen. Some habits must stay dead. Some seasons must not be resurrected. You must have the wisdom to discern what deserves to be rebuilt and what needs to be left in the rubble. When fire consumes a forest, it seems like devastation. But if you return a year later, you'll find new growth, stronger roots, richer soil. In the same way, what seems like the worst moment of your life may turn out to be the beginning of the most fruitful season you've ever known. But this growth is only available to those who stay long enough in the ashes to learn. You cannot run from the ruins, you must study them, ask them questions. What failed and why? What did I build without wisdom? What did I assume would last but didn't? The rubble has a message. Destruction is not just a moment of loss. It's a classroom of revelation. Purpose is the blueprint of personal reconstruction. When a builder constructs a building, the first and most essential element is not the bricks or the beams, but the blueprint. Without a blueprint, building becomes dangerous, unpredictable, and unstable. In the same way, when you attempt to rebuild your life without a sense of purpose, you risk creating something that looks successful on the outside, but is hollow, fragile, or misaligned on the inside. Purpose gives structure to your effort. It turns chaos into clarity. It transforms activity into achievement. Without purpose, you may be busy but not effective, active but not accurate, existing but not truly living. Purpose is not just an idea, it is an identity. It defines why you were created, what problem you were designed to solve, and what contribution you are meant to make in the world. Many people attempt to rebuild their lives based on what they see others doing, what society celebrates, or what pain has pressured them into believing they must become. But you cannot rebuild yourself from imitation. You must build from intention. You must build from within. And the only way to do that is to discover the purpose that has been placed inside of you by design, not by demand. There are people who have tried to construct lives of wealth, influence, beauty, or power, only to find themselves miserable once those things were achieved. That is because success without purpose is just a polished form of emptiness. Rebuilding your life means you don't just want to look strong. You want to be strong. You don't just want to be admired. You want to be aligned, and alignment comes when what you do flows naturally from who you are. Purpose is not a career, it's not a role, it's not even your goals. Purpose is the foundation beneath all of those things. It is the reason behind the reason. It is the internal compass that tells you where to go, when to stop, what to say yes to, and what to walk away from. When purpose is missing, confusion is guaranteed. Your life is not an accident. Your existence is not random. There is something you were uniquely designed to do, and when you are rebuilding yourself, you must take the time to rediscover that design. Often, purpose is buried beneath layers of fear, disappointment, rejection, and false identity. You may have spent years building a version of yourself that was necessary for survival, but never aligned with your original calling. Rebuilding yourself means having the courage to tear down the false constructs of who you thought you had to be and allow your real identity to emerge. That identity is rooted in purpose. Purpose also acts as a filter. It determines what belongs in your life and what does not. Just as a builder doesn't install windows where the blueprint requires a wall, you must learn to say no to things that are not aligned with your purpose, even if they are good. Not everything that is good is right for you. Not every opportunity is meant for your journey. Not every voice deserves your attention. When you rebuild with purpose, you become more selective, more focused, more disciplined. You don't waste time on distractions. You don't let detours become destinations. You understand that your energy, your relationships, your time, all of these are sacred resources, and they must be invested, not just spent. Purpose gives your rebuild direction. You're not just fixing what was broken. You are realigning with why you were made. You are returning to your original mandate. You are reintroducing yourself to the world, not as a copy of what broke you, but as the blueprint of what created you. That blueprint becomes your foundation. It informs your vision. It shapes your decisions. It stabilizes your future. You can always tell the difference between a life built on ambition and one built on purpose. Ambition strives, purpose flows, ambition competes, purpose completes, ambition reacts, purpose builds. When your rebuild is driven by purpose, what you construct will not only last, it will serve. Purpose is the blueprint of personal reconstruction. Just as an architect does not build a structure without a clear plan, you cannot rebuild your life successfully without understanding the purpose that defines you. Purpose is the foundation upon which every other part of your life rests. It guides your decisions, shapes your habits, and determines the direction of your growth. Without it, rebuilding becomes aimless, and efforts are wasted on temporary fixes that do not lead to lasting transformation. Many people make the mistake of trying to rebuild based on external circumstances or fleeting emotions. They attempt to piece together their lives from the broken fragments left behind by failure, pain, or loss. But without the guiding light of purpose, those pieces never quite fit. Purpose provides clarity. It answers the essential questions: who am I? Why am I here? What is my contribution? Without answers to these questions, rebuilding can become a confusing, frustrating process marked by trial and error, disappointment, and wandering. Purpose is more than a goal or a dream. It is an identity. It is the reason for your existence and the unique role only you can fulfill. When you grasp this truth, you begin to understand that rebuilding yourself is not about becoming someone else or merely fixing what was broken. It is about realigning yourself with the very reason you were created. Your purpose is the blueprint laid within you before you were born, design that carries the potential to impact your life and the lives of others profoundly. Many people fall into the trap of constructing their lives around external achievements, such as wealth, status, or recognition, believing that success will bring fulfillment. Yet, without purpose, these achievements often leave them feeling empty and disconnected. Rebuilding with purpose means moving beyond superficial success to a deeper sense of alignment. It means your actions and choices flow naturally from who you are at your core, rather than being driven by the need to prove yourself to others or fill a void. Understanding your purpose also helps you set boundaries. When you know why you exist and what you are here to do, you can more easily decide what to say yes to and what to refuse. Not every opportunity, relationship, or distraction deserves your attention. Purpose acts as a filter, protecting your time and energy from being scattered on things that do not contribute to your growth. This selective focus is vital in the rebuilding process because it ensures that the new life you build is strong, coherent, and sustainable. Rebuilding yourself with purpose requires self-discovery and sometimes painful reflection. It involves peeling back the layers of false beliefs, past hurts, and societal expectations that may have distorted your understanding of who you really are. Many people live lives shaped by fear, shame, or the desire to fit in, rather than by the truth of their identity. Rebuilding demands courage, the courage to let go of what no longer serves you and to embrace the authentic design within you. When you rebuild according to your purpose, you transform challenges and setbacks into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Your setbacks become opportunities to learn, grow, and refine your understanding of your purpose. This perspective shifts your focus from what was lost to what can be gained. It empowers you to rebuild not just what was broken, but to build something better, stronger, and more aligned with your true self. Purpose also provides motivation and resilience. When the rebuilding process feels difficult or progress seems slow, your understanding of why you are rebuilding sustains you. It gives you the strength to keep moving forward even when circumstances are discouraging. It reminds you that your life has meaning beyond immediate struggles and that your efforts contribute to a larger divine plan. Rebuilding with purpose leads to lasting transformation because it addresses the root of who you are rather than just the symptoms of brokenness. It moves beyond temporary fixes and creates a life anchored in meaning and intentionality. Purpose turns rebuilding from a reaction to a situation into a deliberate act of becoming. The act of becoming the person you were always meant to be. In this way, purpose is not just the starting point of rebuilding. It is the ongoing blueprint that guides every step, every decision, and every action. It is the standard against which you measure your progress and the vision that fuels your hope for the future. When you rebuild with purpose, you are not merely restoring what was lost. You are stepping into a new season of your life, one that is rich with meaning, impact, and fulfillment. Renewing your mind is essential to rebuilding your life because the mind is the control center of your existence. Every thought you entertain, every belief you hold, shapes your perception of reality and influences your actions. If your mind is cluttered with negativity, fear, or false assumptions, no matter how hard you try, rebuilding your external circumstances will be shallow and short-lived. True transformation always begins within. Before the walls of your life can be reconstructed, the foundation of your thinking must be renewed. Many people underestimate the power of their thoughts. They believe that external change will automatically lead to internal change. But the truth is the opposite. Lasting external change must be preceded by internal renewal. The way you think determines how you feel, which then determines how you act. If you want to rebuild your life successfully, you must first rebuild your mind. This means examining the thoughts that have shaped your past, rejecting those that are limiting or destructive, and replacing them with thoughts that empower, encourage, and inspire. The process of renewing your mind is deliberate and ongoing. It requires self-awareness and discipline. You must become a vigilant guardian of your thoughts, recognizing that not every thought is true or helpful. Many people live their lives on autopilot, allowing negative programming from childhood, past failures, or toxic environments to dictate their self-image and decisions. Rebuilding your mind means breaking free from this autopilot mode and choosing to think intentionally. It means refusing to accept lies about your worth, your potential, or your future. Renewal also involves feeding your mind with truth and wisdom. Just as the body needs proper nutrition to grow healthy and strong, your mind needs the right input to develop positively. This can come from many sources. Reading books that inspire and educate, listening to teachings that challenge your thinking, surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you, and engaging in reflective practices like meditation or journaling. The more you expose your mind to life, giving ideas, the more it will change your outlook and behavior. One of the most profound aspects of renewing your mind is learning to replace old destructive beliefs with new empowering ones. For example, if you have believed that failure defines you, renewing your mind means understanding that failure is only feedback and an opportunity to learn. If you have believed that you are unworthy of success or love, renewing your mind means embracing the truth that your value is inherent and not dependent on external approval. This mental shift opens the door to new possibilities and liberates you from the chains of self-doubt. Renewing your mind also changes how you handle challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable barriers, you begin to view them as opportunities for growth and refinement. This mindset shift strengthens resilience and perseverance. You no longer respond to difficulties with fear or avoidance, but with confidence and creativity. Renewed thinking empowers you to seek solutions, to ask for help when needed, and to keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. Moreover, renewing your mind aligns your desires and actions with your true purpose. When your mind is clouded with confusion or contradictory thoughts, your efforts become scattered and ineffective. But a renewed mind brings clarity and focus. It helps you prioritize what matters most, make better decisions, and take consistent steps toward your goals. This mental clarity is crucial in the rebuilding process because it ensures that you are not just reconstructing a life of old patterns, but building a new life of intentional growth. The journey of mind renewal is not always easy. Old habits of thought die hard, and sometimes the mental battles can be intense, but the reward is profound. As your mind renews, your entire life begins to shift. You start to think differently about yourself, your circumstances, and your future. This renewed perspective creates new emotional responses and healthier behaviors, which then transform your reality. Renewing your mind is the invisible work that produces visible change. In this way, renewing your mind is the gateway to true rebuilding. Without it, any changes you attempt to make will be vulnerable to collapse because they lack the internal support necessary to endure. But with a renewed mind, you gain the wisdom, strength, and vision to rebuild your life with confidence and purpose. It is the key that unlocks the door from surviving to thriving, from merely existing to truly living. Rebuilding yourself requires patience and perseverance, two qualities that are often overlooked in a world obsessed with instant results. Many people want transformation to happen quickly. Overnight success, rapid recovery, sudden breakthroughs. But the reality is that rebuilding is a process that unfolds over time. It is not a sprint, it is a marathon. The temptation to give up when progress seems slow or invisible is one of the greatest challenges you will face. Yet, patience and perseverance are the steady hands that guide you through the hardest seasons and bring you safely to a new place of strength. Patience means more than just waiting. It means enduring with a hopeful expectation. It means trusting the process even when the outcome is not yet clear. In the rebuilding journey, there will be moments of frustration, setbacks, and doubts. You may feel stuck or question whether the effort is worth it. But patience allows you to hold on to your vision through the waiting period, recognizing that growth is often invisible before it becomes visible. Like the farmer who plants a seed and waits for the harvest, you must nurture your progress without rushing it. Perseverance is the active companion to patience. It is the willingness to keep going despite difficulties and obstacles. Perseverance refuses to let failure define you or stop your forward momentum. Instead, it views failure as feedback, a necessary part of the learning process. When you rebuild yourself, you will encounter challenges that test your commitment and resilience. You will face discouragement, criticism, and maybe even moments of self-doubt. Perseverance is the determination to keep moving, to try again, and to push through resistance because you understand that the prize is worth the effort. The combination of patience and perseverance builds character and strengthens your foundation. In the process of rebuilding, you are not only reconstructing your external circumstances, but also transforming your inner self. The discipline required to be patient and persistent shapes you into a person capable of handling greater responsibility, wisdom, and influence. It teaches you humility, endurance, and faith, qualities that cannot be developed overnight. Through these virtues, you become more than just restored. You become renewed and empowered. It is important to remember that setbacks are not signs of failure, but opportunities to refine your approach. When things do not go as planned, patience allows you to pause and reflect rather than react impulsively. Perseverance gives you the strength to adjust your strategy and keep going with renewed determination. This mindset transforms obstacles into stepping stones, making your rebuild stronger and more resilient. Every challenge overcome adds a new layer of experience and wisdom to your foundation. Often, the greatest breakthroughs come just after the moments when giving up seems most tempting. History is full of stories of people who succeeded because they refused to quit despite repeated failures. Your rebuilding journey is no different. The seasons of waiting and working behind the scenes are shaping you for the moment when your efforts will bear fruit. Patience keeps your hope alive. Perseverance turns that hope into reality. In addition, patience and perseverance protect you from the distractions of comparison and impatience. It is easy to become discouraged when you look at others who appear to be advancing faster or achieving more. But rebuilding your life is a deeply personal process that cannot be rushed or measured by someone else's timeline. Patience helps you stay focused on your own path, while perseverance keeps you moving forward despite the noise around you. Together, they create a shield against discouragement and a compass that points you back to your goals. Learning to cultivate patience and perseverance requires practice and intention. It may mean setting small, achievable goals that build momentum over time. It may mean developing routines and habits that sustain your progress even when motivation wanes. It may mean seeking encouragement and accountability from others who understand your journey. These practices reinforce your commitment and make patience and perseverance part of your daily life. Through the steady application of patience and perseverance, you create a momentum that becomes unstoppable. Your rebuild becomes less about quick fixes and more about sustainable growth. You learn to appreciate the process, knowing that each small step is part of a larger transformation. Over time, patience and perseverance turn your vision into reality, your dreams into achievements, and your brokenness into a testimony of strength. Building a strong support system is one of the most critical elements in the process of rebuilding yourself. No person is an island, and the journey of transformation is rarely meant to be walked alone. Often, when people try to rebuild their lives after loss, failure, or hardship, they isolate themselves out of shame, fear, or a mistaken belief that they must do it all on their own. But isolation can lead to stagnation, discouragement, and relapse into old patterns. A strong support system provides encouragement, accountability, wisdom, and practical help, which are essential for sustaining growth and overcoming obstacles. The first benefit of a support system is encouragement. When rebuilding, there will be days filled with doubt, fatigue, and frustration. On these days, the words and presence of supportive people can breathe life back into your spirit. They remind you of your value and potential when your own self-belief wavers. Encouragement is more than just kind words. It's a reaffirmation of your worth and purpose. A reminder that you are not defined by your past mistakes, but by your willingness to rise. Supportive friends, mentors, or family members can provide this lifeline when your own motivation feels depleted. Accountability is another vital aspect of a strong support system. Rebuilding requires consistent effort, discipline, and focus, which can be hard to maintain without external checks. People who care about your growth can gently challenge you when you're tempted to give up or backslide. They help you stay on track by celebrating your progress and confronting you when you stray. Accountability creates a sense of responsibility that motivates action. It is a safeguard against complacency and a catalyst for perseverance. Wisdom from others who have walked similar paths is invaluable in the rebuilding process. When you are in the midst of reconstruction, your vision can sometimes become clouded by emotion or uncertainty. Trusted advisors or mentors can provide perspective, guidance, and practical advice that you might not see on your own. They can help you identify blind spots, avoid common pitfalls, and make better decisions. Learning from others' experiences accelerates your growth and prevents unnecessary setbacks. Practical help is often overlooked but can make a significant difference. Rebuilding your life involves many aspects: emotional healing, mental renewal, spiritual growth, physical health, financial stability, and relational repair. Supportive people can offer assistance in various forms, such as helping with tasks, providing resources, or connecting you with opportunities. This tangible support lightens your burden and creates a collaborative environment where growth is nurtured. Building a support system also means learning to be vulnerable. It requires humility to admit that you cannot do everything alone and courage to reach out for help. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a strength that opens the door to deeper connection and authentic relationships. When you share your struggles, others can respond with empathy and solidarity rather than judgment. This connection fosters emotional healing and reminds you that you are part of a community. It's important to be intentional about the people you include in your support system. Not everyone in your life will have your best interests at heart or contribute positively to your growth. You must surround yourself with those who uplift, inspire, and challenge you constructively. Seek out mentors who demonstrate wisdom and integrity, friends who encourage honesty and growth, and family members who show unconditional love. A diverse support system that covers different aspects of your life can provide balanced and comprehensive support. Building a support system is also reciprocal. As you receive support, you can also offer encouragement, accountability, and help to others who are on similar journeys. This mutual exchange strengthens relationships and creates a network of resilience. Giving back in this way reinforces your own growth and builds a sense of belonging. Technology today provides more opportunities than ever to connect with supportive communities. Online groups, forums, and social media platforms can offer spaces where people share their journeys, insights, and encouragement. While virtual connections cannot replace face-to-face relationships, they can supplement your support system and provide access to people you might not otherwise meet. Ultimately, rebuilding yourself is not a solo project, but a communal process. Strong support systems create a fertile ground for growth, providing the emotional, mental, spiritual, and practical resources necessary to rebuild with strength and purpose. When you build your life with the help of others, you gain a richer, fuller experience and increase your chances of sustained success. The connections you nurture become part of your foundation, giving you stability and resilience for whatever challenges lie ahead. Rebuilding yourself is a profound journey of transformation that requires intentionality, purpose, and resilience. It begins within renewing your mind, rediscovering your unique design, and aligning your life with a clear purpose. Along the way, patience and perseverance become your steadfast companions, helping you navigate challenges and setbacks without losing hope. Equally important is the support system you build around yourself, a network of encouragement, accountability, and wisdom that sustains your growth and anchors you in community. True rebuilding is not merely about restoring what was lost. It is about becoming a stronger, wiser, and more authentic version of yourself. When you commit to this process, you don't just recover. You rise with a renewed vision, ready to fulfill the extraordinary potential within you.